Does your project planning look like this? Sticky notes everywhere, papers piled high, and no idea what's due next. Meet your new command center, a clean, sleek Gantt chart that sweeps away the chaos and puts every task in its place. On the left, your complete task list, with milestones clearly marked so you always know what matters most. The result? A clear, complete project plan, right at your fingertips. Take control of your projects today.
I tend to work with 5 different phases at first in 5 different blocks, so 5 different milestones. And so, first of all, I'll go to the workshop, the portal, I sign in, and I go to the interactive project management chart and I start on first adding a milestone. So, the first milestone I'm going to add is the why. So, the why is the plan phase and it's a requirements architecture that will support the strategy of the project, and it will include considerations of the budget planning. So in the why plan phase, I'd look at what kind of business resource do I need to identify, who are the stakeholders that I will need to engage in planning this project, which helps me to further build on the why there is this project. Also, I'll start thinking about requirements gathering on creating the strategic intent or the vision. So perhaps if there's already insert the vision and mission or the problem statement, opportunity statement, perhaps do a fundamental analysis, a feasibility analysis, which is very important. Feasibility analysis, can you actually do it? Is it feasible? And so on. Making sure that the business aims or the project aims is aligned to the strategy that you have, and also identify your success criteria. So that's one plan phase, the why. Second phase is the what. So this is where I will build the business case or project charter. And the requirements architecture here is to support the portfolio, and in consideration with budget preparation is in this phase of the what. So building on the what, to build your business case or project charter to support your project portfolio and budget preparation, you're going to think about what plans do you need to get approved? What are the things that you need to get approved of? Could it be a loan approval for a business loan? Could it be approval for conducting and implementing a change as part of the project? Is it an approval request for different types of planning? Lots of different things. And also, as a task, I would add on the how will you manage your information? How do you plan to manage information? Are you going to record things? What are the kind of things you're going to record? Are you going to take photos of things? What are the things? Is there going to be blueprints? Is there going to be information management through lots of different meetings or traveling to meet people, or maybe different chats, or and also managing information such as the budget itself? What kind of information do you need to manage with regards to preparing for the budget? This is also an opportunity as a task in the second phase of the what, to manage how you're going to manage the stakeholder collaboration with you. And also, you need to capture any technical requirements, for example, if there is any, if it's a technical thing. Perhaps you need to identify what kind of capabilities are you thinking you need. So, for example, you might not be an expert in architecting a blueprint. Is that a required capability that you've identified? You might not be a builder, a physical builder, or a programmer, a computer programmer. Is that a capability that you've identified and you need to plot that down? And then you also could do an initial risk assessment, because in doing that now you get to prepare more of the budget because you kind of know what risk you've assessed earlier on. And also, it's an opportunity as well in the task to review with other stakeholders what the budget is that you need to prepare for, what demands you enter into the budget. And also, perhaps this is also a task where you can add the estimations at this stage for budget planning, what can you estimate? And the third phase is the how. Now, this is the how requirements architecture to support the project itself. So you're now thinking about budget allocation to consider, and also to prepare how you're going to hand this project over for it to be executed as the next phase. So the how is planning all your documents together to justify it, the project being supported and handed over to a project, and having those budgets allocated. So you're thinking about communicating these requirements more so to people involved, like your stakeholders or people that you're going to be working with. Communicate those requirements. You need to already, at this point, as a task, define your deliverables. What were the initial solutions that were proposed? What were the estimates given? Are the deliverables aligned with the requirements? Have you identified the resources required? Vendor software selection process, has that been started? Perhaps you're looking into the purchasing requirements of things, the buying process of things. Also, you're looking into assessing the vendor. So it's vendor assessments, creating statement of work. You're looking at reviewing your requirements and what other compliance the vendor must meet, for example. The vendors then should be giving you an estimate by now so that you can allocate the budgets, and then you can identify the business benefits this way as well. So now we're off to the next phase, which is the when. The when is when you're actually starting the project, you're executing the project. So the requirements architecture here is to support solution delivery and in consideration of budget control. So you're also controlling the budget in this phase, the execute phase. You're controlling budget continuously. And you need to think about validating your resource and the technical solutions given. You need to look at the skills, resources, talent that you've got. You need to have the people involved who are bringing the skills and talent, they need to understand, define, and agree the approach to execute the project. This is also a task for you to kind of acknowledge what prerequisites or dependencies that you need to identify, define, capture, and agree upon. For example, what are the dependencies? What activities are blocked before one is completed and then the next activity can start? Those are kind of dependencies or prerequisites. This is where you can prepare the start date, the go live date, and the project end date. So you can then now at this phase go back to all the other previous phases and look at reviewing the readiness checklist. And also as a task, could be where, because you're controlling your budget, you're also executing the purchase orders and the vendors and suppliers are engaged. You also want to make sure that the budget tabs is aligned. So there's alignment ready with the budget control and the budget tabs. And you want to ensure that all resource plans are allocated. What makes a really good project plan or project chart? For me, I'd like to see personally different milestones that explains the why you're doing the project, the what, the how, the when, and how the project is going to close, and what outcome that you wanted to happen from that project. Did it meet the expectations? Things that I would always think of when I'm designing the project plan or the project chart. I look at the requirement itself. So requirement architecture, I'd look into requirements that you need to identify. What are the requirements that you know of in order to build the why, the plan? Requirements that are still unknown and you need to figure that out. What are they? Create a plan for requirements that you don't yet understand that you might need. I'd look into the experts, the tasks that are known only by those experts. What are they, and how are you going to integrate those experts into the plan? The historical database on solutions or historical knowledge, maybe people who've done this before. They have the history, know-how. And then the next thing I'd look for is the task allocation. So who and what is allocated to doing what task in the project. Allocate those tasks and to those people, to those experts. If you don't know who they are yet, but just know that you've got a task created that needs to be allocated. And then look for what type of activities. A good thing that I would use is a critical path analysis. That shows you the activity in sequence, or not yet in sequence, but the type of activities that you're going to need. So you could look into figuring out what activity as a dependency needs to happen first or after or in between, or if another activity is going to be blocked before another one can begin. So like a critical path analysis, which activities fall into what critical path along the way, along the process. And then I'd look at the business processes itself. So processes that cause a certain order of activities. What is the process of getting from A to Z in a typical project in phases? And you look into also considering what entity, what resources or personnel available or unavailable to support you. What are the setbacks in that? We provide the tools you need to take charge, right from your command center. Use our custom workshop tools to model growth your way. We've built a secure environment where your tasks, projects, financial data meets actionable logic. Stop managing your projects in the dark. Experience the power of total financial and task visibility. Visit Saving Private Money today. Your task and wealth management your way. Okay, so now don't forget to save your work. So you can click on Save to Vault over here. And then you can go to the Vault area and then see the work over here. Continue working on your work save, as you can see here, the project chart. And then you can come back to the workshop and work back on your progress over here.